Formerly called the Vigi, Fort George was part of a complex of fortifications, the building of which began in 1804 under the direction of the then British Governor, Brigadier General Sir Thomas Hislop. The fortifications consisted of sea defenses and a series of supporting batteries, the York, Princess Charlotte, Abercrombie and Cambridge on the lower slopes and the Cumberland to the north above the fort. Considered impregnable, it was the major defensive position in the island, but never to experience military action. In times of rumors of war, the merchants of Port of Spain would store their records and valuables at the fort. Fort George ceased to be a military establishment in 1846. A signal station was established there and continued operation until November 1964.
So here we have a map of Fort George and Port of Spain, and it was built in 1804. Down here, of course, you have the bay, the sea, and the ships, of course, from that time period. Over here would have been Port of Spain, St. James, and they have the dirt road, as you can see, which would be like what the highway is now. And then, of course, you have the trail going up to the fort.
This signal station, built about 1883, was designed by Prince Kofi Enti, son of King Kofi Kalkali of Ashanti, West Africa. He arrived in Trinidad on the 1st of July 1881, having become a ward of the British government after a war against the Ashantis in 1872. A major restoration of the building took place in 1965, 3 years after Trinidad gained its independence. Fort George, overlooking Port of Spain, is 350 meters above sea level. It provided protection for Port of Spain in the event of an invasion by receiving light and flag signals from various points. Only when the wireless system arrived did the station become obsolete. For the visitor, the fort provides one of the imposing views to the capital city, and its cannons, which were never used, add to its attractions. Fort George is located on the crest of a ridge over 1,000 feet above Port of Spain. Built by the British in 1804, all approaches to the capital were monitored and commanded from this fort. Today, the fort is a popular site with the presence of some well-preserved relics, including cannons and lookout stations. The grounds of the fort are beautifully landscaped with picnic facilities, and visitors have the opportunity to enjoy perhaps the most spectacular view of the city and its environs. Fort George is a reminder of one of the turning points in Trinidad history, an event that ended 300 years of Spanish rule and one of the best viewing platforms in the Caribbean. On a clear day, the views from Fort George are stunning. You can see across the Queen's Park Savannah and the capital Port of Spain to the much sturdier fortifications at Fort Picton in Laventil, across the bird sanctuary and the plains of Caroni to San Fernando Hill and the Central Range. Far below and sweeping out to the south are the city suburbs of Woodbrook, Sinclair, St. James, West Moorings, and the blue, sheltered, and relatively hurricane-free expanse of the Gulf of Paria. Fort George offers a commanding view both visually and defensively. To the north is the valley of Diego Martin with its strategically positioned North Post Signaling Station and Petite Valley. To the west lay the Boko Islands, Islands of the Dragon's Mouth, referred to as Down the Islands, between which the likes of Christopher Columbus and Sir Walter Raleigh have sailed, and beyond them, Venezuela and the coast of South America. The original fortification included a lower battery at the base of the hill, which together with the hilltop fort were intended to protect Britain's newly won Caribbean territory and the harbour of Port of Spain. The British recognized strategic weaknesses in the Spanish defense of Trinidad and the positioning of Fort George in the direct sight of both North Post, which has a commanding view of Trinidad's north coast, and Fort Picton. It was designed to provide Port of Spain with an early warning system in the event of an attack. However, Trinidad history records that while there was one false alarm during the Napoleonic Wars, when Fort George was on high alert, the fort never saw action. Trinidad hotels can arrange for you to visit Fort George, an easy 20-minute drive from Port of Spain. Its panoramic Caribbean scenery makes for an excellent stop-off point on your get-acquainted city tour, if combined with other Port of Spain sites. This is the panorama that makes Fort George a favorite local weekend picnic attraction and an ideal location to capture on film the Caribbean scenery offered by this elevated perspective.